On the 23rd of April 2007, Captain Ray Bowyer was flying a routine passenger flight for the civilian airline company, Aurigny Air Services, when he and his passengers gained progressively clearer views of two UFOs.
Then, Jersey Tower controller Paul Kelly sees something on his radar.
The only indication I had on the radar was this solitary primary contact that seemed to be in the area that Ray was describing.
Faced with something unknown, Bowyer must decide if it's a threat to the safety of Flight 544.
It was really getting a little late for descent, so it had to start going down. Frankly, I was quite glad of that, because these things were now fully visible without the use of any binoculars.
As Bowyer descends, air traffic controller Paul Kelly still sees an object intermittently on his radar. He contacts other aircraft in the area to take a look. Another pilot has seen something.
North-northeast towards Alderney, he could see an object matching the description that Ray had given. Once I'd heard the second pilot apparently confirm the sighting from an opposite direction, that's where it became really quite strange. It certainly backs up what Ray was describing in terms of the apparent scale. He described at one point the object possibly being Boeing 737 sized.
I'll show you a couple of pictures from the UFO file books. These are genuine UFOs in the sense that no one's ever been able to explain what they are, but they happen. They're not fakes.
Well, that's
over New Mexico.
That's very similar to the sort of thing that I saw, yeah.
Well, that
and my passengers.
That was famously
I haven't seen
taken over New Mexico in 1957, and it's not a cloud. That much we do know.
Japan Airlines cargo flight 1628 was a UFO incident that occurred on the 17th of November, 1986, involving a Japanese Boeing 747. The aircraft was en route from Paris to Narita International Airport.
My name is John Callahan. I'm a retired FAA employee. I was the division manager for the Accidents, Evaluation, and Investigation Division in D.C. About 2 years before I retired, I received a call from Alaska region where the region wanted to know what to tell the media. When I questioned, tell the media what, he says about the UFO, and it went downhill from there. What UFO? It turned out I told him what any government employee would do at that time was to tell him it's under investigation. And then I had him send all that data to the FAA's tech center in Atlantic City. And I videoed the event.
Hit on the radar, approximately 5 miles in trail, your 6 o'clock position. Do you concur? Commander 1628, sir, if you're able to identify the type of aircraft, if you can tell whether it's military or civilian. Okay. It is what? It is an unknown. Okay, we've lost contact with it now.
2030. We're almost on time. I think we're within 20 seconds or so.
So at one time he says it's over here at 12 o'clock and 8 miles, and when the antenna goes by, we see a target there. 10 seconds later, it is now behind him, 6, 7 miles behind him. So it's going from 8 miles out here to 6 or 7 miles back here, really in only 5 or 6 seconds.
More now on some new video that has the world buzzing right now, what appears to be UFOs near a U.S. aircraft carrier.
According to Mystery Wire, the video was leaked ahead of a U.S. intelligence report that is due out next month. This radar video from 2019 shows unidentified objects closing in on the USS Omaha. This is off the coast of San Diego. The aircraft carrier, if you look at your screen right now, is right in the center dot. And those unknown objects, totaling 14 at one point, are around the carrier.
The Pentagon has even confirmed that all of the leaked footage of this event, including this video, is authentic.
Splashed. Mark bearing and range.
The Rendlesham Forest incident was a series of reported sightings of unexplained lights near Rendlesham Forest in England. The events occurred just outside RAF Woodbridge, which was used at the time by the United States Air Force. The occurrence is the most famous UFO event to have happened in the United Kingdom.
In 2007, Robert Hastings located and interviewed the 2 retired Air Force air traffic controllers who had been on duty at the Bentwaters Tower that week. Ike Barker and Jim Carey divulged for the first time they had actually tracked a bona fide UFO on radar the night that Colonel Halt was in the woods.
I was just sitting there and I happened to see a dot come on the scope, and it just went like one dot at the beginning, then another dot, and it was gone. So the scope is 120 miles across. It was just phenomenal to me to see it go that fast. All of a sudden, here it come back across again. It went 1, 2, and then it made an immediate right-hand turn and came right towards the base. You know, I just said, that can't be one of ours. No jet at that speed can make an immediate right-hand turn. Just absolutely phenomenal.
It's not like any radar target I've ever seen. When the sweep would hit the target, you would have the entire back of it would be like a solid line, traveling at an extremely high rate of speed. It passed over the control tower, and then it stopped. I've never seen anything in my life like the maneuverability that happened with this object.
My name is Michael Smith. I was in the Air Force, a sergeant from 1967 to 1973. I was aircraft control and warning operator. While I was assigned to Klamath Falls, Oregon, in early 1970, I arrived at the radar site and they were watching a UFO on a radar that was hovering at about 80,000 feet. It sat there for about 10 minutes and then slowly descended until it dropped off the radar. It was gone for about 5-10 minutes and then instantly reappeared at 80,000 feet, stationary. The next sweep of the radar, it was 200 miles away, stationary. It hovered there for about 10 minutes and redid the whole cycle twice more. When I found out what you normally do when you see a UFO, I was told that you notify NORAD, you don't necessarily write anything down, you don't write anything down, and you keep it to yourself. It's a need-to-know basis only. And NORAD one night called me about later in the year to let me know as a heads up that there was a UFO coming up the California coastline. I asked them what I should do about this. They said, nothing, don't write it down, it's just a heads up. And then late 1972, while stationed at the 753rd Radar Squadron in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, I received a couple panicky calls from police officers who were chasing 3 UFOs from Mackinac Bridge up I-75. So I immediately checked the radar, confirmed that they were there, called NORAD, and they were concerned because they had 2 inbound B-52s going to Kinslow Air Force Base. So they diverted them because they didn't want any proximity to the 2. And that night I answered many calls from the police department, sheriff's department and stuff. And my standard response was that there was nothing on radar.